Okay, well, I totally messed that up. We are still learning over here. So, while I was messing around with OBS and accidentally totally dropped the stream, I got out all my stuff. So, I got my text here, I have my paper here. So, let's get this ruled. One of the things that I've been trying to figure out for the stream is the music issue, because I am aware that people who own music are increasingly cracking down on people who play music during streams, and that poses a problem, maybe not so much for you, but so much for me, because I usually like music or podcast or etc. while I work. And so I'm trying to figure out something that is both nice for me to listen to while I do my calligraphy, and also totally above board and legal for me to have playing while I am hanging out with all of you on stream. There's this issue where I can't, in fact, see if there is an all of you, because YouTube lags by several seconds, and so it's hard for me to see live what exactly I'm showing you on screen. Like, see here, I should move my paper a little bit closer to the screen so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. And so, yeah, so on OBS, on Open Broadcaster Software, I get the live view, essentially, of what I'm doing. But on YouTube is where I would see the live chat. So if you're spamming messages in the live chat right now, I'm very sorry. Let me just check that quickly. I need to come up with a way to do that consistently. Oh, it looks like I had a viewer for a second there. I wonder if that was me. Warning, please check the video resolution, which is not optimal. Well, I mean, using my cell phone is also not optimal, so you can deal, YouTube, you can deal, don't worry. But yeah, so I'm thinking about, I don't know, finding some public domain music or music that I can buy the license to outright so that I can play it during videos and such, and have something nice to listen to. Because otherwise I would probably be listening to an episode of Saga Thing, which is a podcast about the Viking Age. Not so much about the Viking Age, about the sagas of the Icelanders, I should be specific. So, stories about different families who settled Iceland in the Middle Ages. And it's really interesting, and the hosts are fun. I enjoy them and their banter almost as much as I enjoy the actual content. But I'm still learning audio setup. And so we will see in the future whether I can do anything like that. But the day may come when Brennan figures out how to do audio on stream, but it is not this day. Pause for coffee. Looks like we have somebody watching. Hello. If you want to put something in the chat, that's what I'm here for. Anyway. But yeah, I've been thinking about ways to improve the stream that are basically ways to improve my experience of the stream that might also carry over to people watching. Oh, and I hid my ink right behind my coffee. Excellent move. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What else have I been doing lately? I've been reading Foreigner by C.J. Cherryh, which one of my friends gave me. And so that's really good. It's the kind of social sci-fi, the likes of which inspired Imperial Raj. In fact, pretty much directly inspired it. I think Anne Leckie has mentioned the Foreigner series before as one of her inspirations. And other than that, kind of just settling into the rhythm of life as an English teacher. I've also been told that I should do more Vietnam video journaling, and so I might make that part of the stream as well, so that I can persuade all of the modern people who are not interested in medieval calligraphy to come watch me. It's all a nefarious plot to turn you into 14th century Cenobites. I'm doing my little pen test over here. How well can you see that? Let's move that closer. So where were we? Take a look at my last page. Where were we? Should be given him to the end of, and my text picks up at 9 days. I don't know how they decided these triangular serifs on these letters was a good idea. But they are the most annoying part of the whole thing, and they come up like every other letter. Well, it's been a while. I am having to recall how to do the letters. Do not accidentally put a Gothic cursive D on an insular minuscule manuscript, please, Tuaha. That would be bad. There we go. First words of the day. 9 days. Oh yeah, it's actually pretty nicely centered on the screen. Alright. Let's put on my seatbelt. There we go, that feels better. I have my desk set up so that I have one chair to sit at while I am writing, and one chair to sit at while I am writing, which is to say typing versus doing calligraphy. because those two things are comfortable at different heights. I am curious how much I can talk while doing calligraphy, but I almost don't want to experiment with it lest I mess up. Because they're both kind of linguistic tasks. They should interfere with each other, but they happen at such different speeds. Yeah. Because I can say several words in the time it takes me to do one nice, careful, calligraphic S. Afterwards, let a medicine be prepared by digesting the following herbs in wheat ale or red wine. Nice. Medical profession, if you are listening, can we go back to the digesting of medicines in wheat ale and red wine? Stupid trichoceres. If anybody thinks of some really funny marginalia, you should let me know. Because, oh, my face is in the camera again. Oh, I wonder if I just have to, like, improve my posture or something. Anyway, if you think of any funny marginalia, let me know, because medieval monks are always writing hilarious things in the margins, like, St. Paul saved me from the agony of writing, or massive hangover, or something like that. Which apparently is Lahert in Old Irish. I think that's how that's pronounced. I think that's how that's pronounced in modern Irish. Anyway, it means something literally like ale killed us. And I don't know, I feel like I need a scholastic OM inscription somewhere in my medieval manuscript. I feel like it would just be outside of my own spirit and sense of artistic license if I did not. Because, if you can't conlang in the manuscript, you might as well unearth an ancient Irish writing system and do with it what you will. How's that for a camera angle? Oh, it looks much better. Why didn't I think of that before? What do you mean, why didn't I think of that before? Because I'm not some sort of Mirai geometer who just knows these things? And of course that didn't mess up my stream, it was all the hardware. Alright, afterwards let a medicine be prepared by digesting the... Right. I love this insular G. Mostly because it just does not look like a G that we have today. Take a look at that. There's your insular G. It doesn't even have like a bowl. Oh no, I have touched it before the ink is dried. But anyway, I was saying that because I can't conlang in the manuscript, I might at least put obscure Old Irish in it. But you know what? I can conlang in the manuscript because the Reason Codex has the entire lexicon of Hildegard of Bingen's Lingua Ignota inside, and that is considered by many conlangers to be the first conlang. So if I have too much space remaining at the end of this book, I might just have to put a conlang lexicon in the back. I don't know. Where's my capital M? There we go. I don't actually know what all of these herbs are. I just kind of copy them down. So I think it's actually a very medieval practice. I think there were a lot of times when medieval scribes did not know what exactly they were copying down. Might not have actually known what language they were copying in because it might have been Latin. They might not have been entirely literate. Sharp dock. Anise. A starts with an A. I am smarter than my students. No, I shouldn't say that. I know more English than my students. Anise starts with an A. Letter A. Sound ah. Which way does that suspension structure right over the top? And I was giving a presentation on my research. Somebody asked, why is there a dot over the Y but not over the I? And that is not something that I have figured out yet. It's a really interesting question, and I should follow up on it. Vietnamese coffee is good. I should admit now to the fact that I haven't thoroughly researched punctuation, except to the extent of do it less. Because, I'm trying to keep to a kind of medieval aesthetic, which is kind of messed up by a whole bunch of really accurate modern punctuation, Also, you gotta tell me if my head comes into the frame again, because I'm not paying attention as diligently as I might. Something about insular U that always gets me. I don't know why. And as to the fact that the U always gets me, that is why I have seized on the excuse to use the medieval win rather than a W. This word here that looks like port is actually wart. That is round birth wort, as in the herb. Birth wart. Meadow sweet. It really should be a part of this project that I look up what all of these words mean. Yellow goat's beard. Interesting. Heath. Water avens? Ovens? Woodruff. Crakeberry. The corn cockle. Anybody know what a corn cockle is? And such other herbs as will seem good to the physician. Very specific, thank you. They use the word confection to describe this medicine, which I guess etymologically is alright. It's something that is made together or put together. And I wonder how they used that in the 1800s. But there are very few medicines today that I would describe as confections beyond like Flintstones gummies. Take of May butter, a she-goat's suet, or a doe's fat. Now, is the May butter included in the ore? I guess it would make sense if they are all fatty substances, butter, suet, fat. realized that most of the time you can just about see my nose in this pen angle. This camera angle, sorry. How many lines is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's a good time for a break. Going to set down my pen for a minute, clean it off, use the bathroom, all that. Alright. Finish off my coffee. So yeah, I've heard that I should do some more Vietnam blogging. I've been told that there are at least some people who are not sure whether or not I'm living in a grass hut. And so I feel like I should endeavor to do that a little bit more. So I lived in a district called Go Vat in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. I teach English, and so that's mostly to pretty small kids. Maybe think like elementary and middle grades in US terms, right? So, so yeah, the view out my window is not a view over the rural Mekong Delta or anything. I live in a second-story apartment that, honestly, if you didn't look out the window, you probably wouldn't be able to tell I was in Vietnam. You might be able to tell I'm not in America because of the electric kettle, which is not something that we do a lot over there. Kind of just put a pot on the stove, which all of my friends from the British Isles say is kind of barbaric. And after having used the electric kettle, you know what? Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of, I don't know, organized thoughts about Vietnam. I feel like I should write some of these down in the meantime and come out and talk about them on calligraphy breaks in the future. If you have questions about Vietnam, and I see somebody is watching, I have one viewer right now, you can write them in the chat. It is live, I will see it. Otherwise, you can just post them to me on any social media, Instagram, email, NeoCities. Those are the three that I have. And I will answer them, either to you directly or on stream. But I think it would be cool for everyone if I did some of this on screen. Are there like public domain audiobooks? Because I wonder. Oh, can you hear the street vendor going by? Street vendors go by and instead of shouting about what they're selling, they just have a little speaker on their bike that plays it on a loop, which I think is pretty innovative of them. But yeah, I wonder if there are public domain audiobooks or any way that I can convince somebody to read a public domain book out loud during the stream or similar. Because, I would really love to not have to generate all of my own audio while I'm doing calligraphy. I don't actually know whether I could perform sea shanties while doing calligraphy. I wonder if the two things are like just disparate enough that I could do it. I'm not going to try it while doing the codex, but I think it would be really funny just to get a piece of scrap Bristol paper and a big nib so I don't have to worry about my tiny little C5 that I play with. And what I could do is see if I can sing sea shanties while doing calligraphy, which is probably a pretty absurd combination, right? I mean, I think about sea shanties, and that is like what, 19th century? Yeah, 1800s, mostly. Wooden ships and iron men, as they say. And, but then back in the, I was going to make some sort of joke about wooden ships and iron men in the presence of Vikings killing Irish monks at Lindisfarne, etc. But I do 14th century non monastic scribes. And so I don't sit out on a little island full of unarmed religious men and gold plated relics. I wander from town to town. Wait, no, I don't even wander from town to town. I really need to post the research in like audio form on here because one of my favorite things to do is to go on YouTube and find some well researched history video and just play it like a podcast. I just slide the video in my pocket and I listen to the audio. And so I should really take all of my Codex Mustile research and just plop it in a video with some minimal visual aids. Maybe I'll do that later. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Because Fridays and Mondays are my day off, so I have like too much time almost. Anyway, yeah, sea shanties and monastic scriptoria are non-monastic scriptoria. Any scriptoria in the Middle Ages really are like very different places. Probably I guess what you do have in common is the medicine. There was there's that one scene in Master and Commander, I think, where the little midshipman gets his arm cut off because it's gotten infected or shot or mutilated or something. And he's like, and all of these men are like actually being surprisingly sympathetic to this little 10-year-old who is getting his arm cut off. And and so yeah, the medicine doesn't change for a few centuries there. Um, I don't know if they had May butter and a goat's suet or a doe's fat and agrimony, yellow goat's beard, etc., out there. They probably just had grog and saws, but it's still humoral theory up through the 1800s, which is pretty disturbing. Humors and miasmas. As long as I'm rambling, I should recommend The Ghost Map by who I don't remember at this point. But it's a story, it is the historical account, I should say, of how the 1800s London cholera epidemic was tracked down to the water supply in a time when everyone believed that all diseases were transmitted by miasmas or bad smells. And of course, it's really interesting because it's not just medical, it's also social, like the amount of classism involved. Like, oh, of course the dirty poors are getting sick more than the rich people who are virtuous and good, etc. Because that's how they thought back then. That there was this kind of innate virtue to being rich, just world fallacy kind of thing. But I guess that comes mainly from like aristocracy, divine right of kings, and all that. Anyway, it is not political theory morning. It is not medieval philosophy of rule morning. It is calligraphy morning. But anyway, yeah, go read The Ghost Map. It's really good. Read The Black Death by Philip Ziegler. Read Guinea Pig Doctors. Read Ancillary Justice. Ancillary Justice is not a historical medical text. It's a sci-fi book. Which, if you haven't read it already, why not? All right, let's get back to it. Where were we? Make sure everything is back in frame. Yeah, I'm starting to get a hang of this flipping back and forth between OBS and YouTube thing. For those of you who don't know my audio video setup, I'm wearing my Bluetooth headphones that make it so I can walk around the room and do audio and be heard from wherever I am because the mic follows me around on my head. My iPhone is attached to a camera arm that is being held up over my desk, and that is connected via software called EpicCam to my computer, specifically to Open Broadcaster software, or OBS. And then OBS has the stream key that connects it to YouTube, and YouTube is bringing you my passable voice and my lovely calligraphy. And that is about it. But like I said, the thing about YouTube is that the YouTube playback has some serious lag, like several seconds, and it's almost kind of disturbing. Like if I'm drinking coffee and watching myself on camera, the disconnect is enough that I worry that I'm going to spill my coffee because I feel like I'm watching myself and not watching myself at the same time. It literally gives me physical disorientation to look at. And so I hate doing it. And I come to YouTube primarily to check if anybody's watching the stream or has commented. And then I slip back to OBS, which has virtually no lag, like virtually, as in like if I didn't know about the finite nature of the speed of light, I would say instantaneous. Why am I like this? What is it with the jargon while I'm rambling? Finiteness of the speed of light, really? Let's not. Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's finish a page today. If I do a page a day on this thing, it's gonna take a year. It's gonna take a year or more. When I say a page a day, I mean that is accounting for days of lack of motivation and emergency and freaking out. If I do this only 3 days a week, it is definitely gonna take over a year. Because I want a whole book. Maybe I should end every stream singing a sea shanty. That would be funny. I have the Wellerman very much stuck in my head because of TikTok. There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was the Billy of Tea. The winds blew harder about it, down, oh blow, my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come and bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Before they'd been 2 weeks from shore, but down on they had not been 2 weeks from shore, when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come and bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. There. Got that out of my system. Pen test. I like drawing a tiny little Leo symbol. You know, like the astrological sign. Oh, there we go. Down there. It's my favorite. It's just nice and pretty and flowy. Probably because it looks like several letters in my conline. I just kind of like the aesthetic of it. Like if you take the Leo symbol and you compare it with, say, a BK. I see. Those are my initials in my conline. So you kind of get the feeling that they're similar. Oh, that needs another accent mark. That's a PK. For it to be a B, it needs a punk uru. Uru? Oh, I forget. Anyway, there are Irish terms for basically all of the phonetic features in my conlang, not because I know Irish, but because the phonetic features of my conlang are based on Irish. Voiced consonants, at least in the Onatama understanding of phonetics, come from prenasalized, what am I saying, prenasalized unvoiced stops, which is not true in Syllabic, but should I post conlang streams? Should I just ramble about conlang? You know what, you're going to get enough of that when I finish Paraneuroastomos and I start doing calligraphy of that as a manuscript. Because my next ambitious project is to translate an entire book into my conlang and then do this to it, which will kill me, undoubtedly. But I will gain entrance to Conlanger Valhalla. Just gotta. Oh, Strovalcore. That's what you call that. Strovalcore. To not have a terribly human accent about it. Where were we? Doze fat. There we go. It's the insular D that always messes with me, because it always comes out looking somewhere between Gothic and stereotypical Elvish, neither of which is what it's supposed to look like. But you know, that's probably one of those things that a paleographer would look and be like, this is the special D that we can identify the hand of the weasel scribe who worked on Codex Mustalae, and also that unidentified fragment of random gibberish that we found in a bog. We know it's the same guy because he can never get the D's right. And as many of the desired herbs as may be suitable for the purpose. I love these recipes. I love them. They're so specific. Can I fold this notebook over without messing? Take my dandelion, daffodil, not dandelion. Wow, Sylvan rude. Alright. Herbs as Spinach may be desired of such herbs as may be suitable for the purpose. That view actually looks kind of good. Important to differentiate your P's from your wins. Wouldn't want this to go from purpose to werwis. Wungus. A wounded lung is the physician's third difficulty, for he cannot control it, but must wait for the will of God. By means of the herbs just mentioned, a medicine may be prepared for anyone who has a pulmonary abscess. He should let it out and support, as in the case of a wounded lung, till he is recovered. But most usually he will have died within 11 years. In the original text, it's kind of unclear whether it says. I'm not exactly sure what the translation is trying to say when it has days in parentheses, because you know what, 11 years with a wounded lung sounds like pretty good for your average medieval peasant, I guess. That's just me, though. I mean, I wonder if it's supposed to be days or what, or the translation is ambiguous. I don't know. Scribal error? Who knows? I think I got a hair in my nib. I don't know where they come from. They're too small and fine to be human hairs, but sometimes a little filament of something drags through the ink, and it makes an otherwise sharp-looking letter look all lumpy. Sometimes you actually have to go in there and, like, pick them out. It's pen testing over here. If anybody was wondering, this is what my conlang looks like. Right here. It says Pernaran, which is my name in my conlang that I gave myself, because you can do that. It means word tree. Viking, or I shouldn't say Viking. I definitely should not say Viking in terms of linguistics, because Viking is absolutely not a linguistic category, it's a profession. I should say North and West Germanic names are full of these just two like two-part names. Like what's a good one? Like Alfred. Alfred, most people just associate that with Batman's butler, but Alfred actually means elf counsel, or like counsel is in the like advice. Or Ethelred is the same red ending. I don't know what Ethel means. I think it might be a tree. I'm not sure. But in any case, it means counsel. Alfred is elf counsel, and so elf, red counsel, and that's actually the same suffixes as the word hatred, like hate counsel. You are being advised by your hate, basically. Advised by it, counseled by it. And so I designed my conlang names basically on the same principle that you have two words stuck together with a grammatical ending. So instead of Alfred, elf counsel, you have Pernaran, which is word tree. And so you have other names like Qarshalan, which is a raven council, Gochlovan, warwolf, Majin Shilan, people's council, Marsutasan, horde thorn. These are all names that are going into Pernarostamos, the national epic I am writing for my conlang people. Yeah. Where were we? A wounded long is the physician's third difficulty. And that is the problem with trying to give you a good view of the calligraphy. Sometimes I go doot and knock my head on the camera. Difficulty. 4. I really need to focus more on those triangle serifs, because they're such a distinctive part of the insular script, and I do not think I get them as precisely as I could be getting them. But I have dozens of pages on which to practice. That's kind of the point here. You cannot control it, but I find using the edge of the pen helps. Really gotta control the angle. All the angles. And if you look at the manuscripts, the swoop on that L is actually quite dramatic. So I try not to let my modern sensibilities of a very vertical L get in my way. Not that I always succeed, but, you know, practice. Where's my capital G? There we go. A lot of these capitals are less capitoline than you might expect. They're kind of just bigger versions of the minuscule letters. Very big dramatic serifs on the capitals. If I put my headphones too close to my phone, I get a mild crackling sound in my left ear. That is the ear closest to the phone. In my left headphone, I should say, not my left human ear. I'm not developing the superhuman ability to sense radio waves. Mm. Are we still good? Note to self, don't have alarms that go off during the stream. Alright, it looks like we are still live. I hope that we are. Yeah, I said the stream goes from 7 to 9, but I got on late, so I guess we're going from like 7:20 to 9:20, or 7:20 to however long it takes me to finish these 3 lines. Be prepared for anyone who has a pulmonary abscess. Okay. Getting the angle on the A right is also something I need to work on. What did I say? Big, bold serifs on capitals. Problem with the win and the W means that wounded always looks like pounded. And wounded shows up a lot in the medical text. All right, that is that. Take a look. "9 days. Afterwards, let a medicine be prepared by digesting the following herbs in wheat ale or red wine: madder, sharpdock, anise, agrimony, daisy, round birthwort, meadowsweet, yellow goat's beard, heath, water avens, woodruff, crakeberry, the corncockle, uh, caraway, and such other herbs as will seem good to the physician. Thus is the blessed confection prepared. Take of may butter a she-goat's suet, or a dote's fat, a shepherd's needle, and as many as may be desired of such herbs as may be suitable for the purpose. A wounded lung is the physician's third difficulty, for he cannot control it, and must wait for the will of God. By means of the herbs just mentioned, a medicine may be prepared for anyone who has a pulmonary abscess. He should let out and support it as in the care of a wounded lung until he is recovered. But most tune in next time. All right. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed a little bit more rambling this time. I will probably start making that a more structured part of the stream because I enjoy telling people things about what's going on. And I will see you again soon. Bye.